Okay, so girls, we're on lesson number 3 now of this topic, the Ulster Plantation. So the previous 2 lessons were kind of background information, and we're kind of getting into the really important stuff now in the next few lessons. So in your book, your textbook, it's on a page 134. So you can just have a little read of page 134 when you're finished watching this YouTube video. Okay, so remember the last day we talked about how Henry VIII wanted to control Ireland. He wanted to have control over some of the powerful families that were in Ireland at the time. He was also worried that countries such as Spain and France would use Ireland as a way of attacking England, that these Catholic countries would all group together. So as his way of controlling Ireland, he had this idea of surrender and grant. So it would be to get the Irish landlords to give up their land to the king, to him, and in return then they would get a title and they would have some kind of prestige, but he would be the one in ultimate control. So that was his idea, and then 2 plantations came afterwards. The Leat Offaly plantation and the Munster plantation. In both of those, they planned to get people to settle from Britain, settle in Ireland, but they weren't really that successful. Okay, so now we're going to start looking at the Ulster plantation, which is the 3rd of the plantations, and this one was successful. Okay, so this is the one that we really need to focus on for this chapter. Okay, so girls, what we're going to be learning in the next 2 lessons is what happened in Ulster in the 1590s. So this is leading up to the plantation. Okay, so what was going on before the actual plantation. Then we're going to be looking at how did the Ulster plantation work, and we're going to be looking at what were the results of the Ulster plantation. Okay, so that's going to take us a few lessons to get through those 3 different things there. Okay, first of all then, this is a map showing the different Gaelic chiefs that were in operation in Ulster. So when we talk about Ulster, we're talking about the north of Ireland. So remember, we have our 3 categories that we talked about before. So we had the old Gaelic chiefs were the groups in the north. They were the main rulers of Ulster. And the 2 most powerful ones were the O'Neills of Tyrone and the O'Donnells of Donegal. Okay, so you can see on that map there, up in the very top part of Ireland, in the pink there, you can see the O'Donnells of Tyrconnell. So Tyrconnell was the old word for Donegal. Okay, so the O'Donnells of Donegal up there. And beside them then in the blue, you can see the O'Neills of Tyrone. So those were the 2 most important and powerful groups or clans at that time of these old Gaelic Irish families. So in this map, it's showing all of the different Gaelic Irish families, but those were the 2 most important. Now, the first thing happened was the Battle of Yellow Ford in 1598. Okay, so Henry VIII is dead at this stage, and it's his daughter Queen Elizabeth who is the one who is the Queen of England. So she wanted English law and Protestant religion in Ulster. Okay, so she wanted to introduce more English settlement in Ulster. But O'Neill and O'Donnell rebelled. So these 2 powerful families, O'Neill and O'Donnell, they rebelled. They didn't want English laws introduced into Ireland. And this led to the Battle of Yellow Ford. And they won. They won this battle. Okay, so the Gaelic Irish lords won the battle. And there's just a little kind of picture map depicting the battle. So the Irish defeated the English forces at this battle. Now, girls, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to get a double page in your copy, okay? And I want you to divide it into 4. So we're going to do like a little picture comic strip here. If you're not using your copy, just get an A4 page and divide it into 4. And I want you to, first box, I want you to draw a picture depicting the Battle of Yellow Ford, 1598. So put that across the top of the box. Battle of Yellow Ford, 1598. And I want you to show me in a little, even with stickmen, a little picture form, the Irish chieftains of O'Neill and O'Donnell fighting against the British soldiers, and O'Neill and O'Donnell were the winners. They were victorious. Okay, so that's in box number 1. So we're going to have 4 different boxes. This is all the run-up to the Ulster Plantation. So these are all the things that happened before the Ulster Plantation. Okay, the next one then. Oh, that's O'Neill there. It's a picture of him. Now, the next box, you're going to put down Spanish help. Okay? Now remember, Spain is a Catholic country. Ireland is also a Catholic country. And they're trying to stop the spread of the Protestant religion. So King Philip II of Spain, in order to help Ireland, he sent 4,000 soldiers to help the rebels. Okay, so he was going to send soldiers to help the native Irish people. These ships landed in Kinsale in 1601. Now, girls, think of your Irish geography. Where in the country is Kinsale? Okay, so O'Neill and O'Donnell are up in Ulster, and Kinsale is in Cork. Okay. Now, when these troops landed, these Spanish soldiers, they were surrounded by the English army. And O'Neill and O'Donnell were defeated. Okay, so the Irish were defeated in this instance. So, girls, I want you to draw me a little picture of this, of the Spanish sending help in 1601. So these boats are arriving, Spanish boats. You could maybe draw a little Spanish flag. Red, yellow, red stripes. But the English captured them and they were defeated. Now moving on to box 3. The Treaty of Mellifont in 1603. So Mellifont is the name of a place. So there had been fighting going on now for a number of years between the Irish lords and the English soldiers. And then in 1603, O'Neill, he surrendered. Okay, so he basically said that he wasn't going to fight anymore. And he made peace with the English. Okay, but the English continued to harass the Ulster chiefs and tried to force English laws. So the English continued to be quite forceful and they tried to impose their English laws. Their English common law that we learnt about a couple of lessons ago. Okay, so remember the Brehon law had been the law in Ireland and they wanted to impose their English laws. So draw me a little picture to depict this. The Treaty of Mellifont, 1603. This is when O'Neill surrendered and tried to make peace with the English. Now, 1607 then is the flight of the Earls. So this is when O'Neill and the other Irish chiefs, they fled Ireland. They left Ireland and they went to the continent. So when we talk about the continent, we're talking about mainland Europe, France, Spain. Okay, so they went off to try and get some help. And at this stage now, King James I is in power. So Elizabeth is gone, Queen Elizabeth I is gone, and it's now her brother, King James, who's in power. So when they fled Ireland, the king declared them as being traitors because they left their land, they left their country, and he confiscated their land. He took their land off them, and we call that the flight of the Earls. So the name given to the chiefs at that time were the Earls, and because they left, he took over their land. And there's some Irish stamps there depicting the 400-year anniversary of the flight of the Earls. Them, the most powerful families, the leaders of the most powerful families, leaving Ireland to go off to Europe to try and get some help. Okay. So girls, that's what you're going to put in your 4th box for me there, the flight of the Earls. So these are all the lead up to the plantation. So this is what's going on in the years in the run up to the Ulster Plantation. So it took a good, say, 15, nearly 20 years of different things happening before the plantation began. Okay, so in your copies then you can do those 4 little pictures, and you can just copy in the notes there, and that's it for today's lesson.